Hey, today we're going to make funeral potatoes, but better. It's a crock pot version, friends, and I love it because you just set it and forget it. You don't have to watch the oven or anything like that. Literally set it and forget it. Funeral potatoes are traditionally or historically, people have been making them and they would bring them to funerals, like for the meal after the funerals. However, funeral potatoes have taken off and the world loves them year round. We make them for practically every single holiday or any big family gathering or a potluck, and you're gonna love this crockpot version so much more. Hi, I'm Carrie with eatingonadime.com, and we specialize in family-friendly recipes. Easy recipes that you can make on a budget. Let's go make some funeral potatoes. First, you're going to need a crock pot. Now, I am just using a traditional 6-quart crock pot. You could also do like an 8-quart crock pot, or for some reason I can't say crock pot today. Or you could also use the casserole crock pot. And that one's great because it's in the casserole form, but you don't have to have that. Just a traditional old school crock pot will work. I do not recommend using a smaller one, like a 4-quart. It would be too small unless you were making half the recipe, which you can do. Also, this recipe, you should be able to double it and fit it into the same crock pot, but since it's gonna be so much fuller, I want you to cook it an extra hour on your slow cooker, so you're just gonna have to keep an eye on it to make sure it cooks all the way through. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna spray it with some nonstick spray. I'm gonna use some olive oil spray, just a quick spray, and that's just gonna help the potatoes not stick to the side, especially since this is a casserole and super cheesy. We're gonna want it to stick a little bit because we want those crunchy edges and it will be amazing, but we want it to be able to pull it out really easily as well. First things first, we're going to dice up an onion. We need a half of an onion. You can do white or yellow. If you are feeling lazy and you want to make this even easier, you can actually buy chopped onions now in the freezer section, or you could just substitute with like a dehydrated onion in the seasoning section as well, or you can leave it out. You do you. Now we do actually have a post and a video on how to chop an onion perfectly every single time. I'm going to include a link for that, and that'll help you out as well. It's been a game changer, especially like on this, when we want this to be pretty finely chopped. They're getting to me, guys. And these last few pieces, I just turn them and run my knife through it. Okay, so now we need a large bowl. We're gonna throw this onion in there. You really want a really large bowl because we end up mixing everything in here. You could honestly throw it all in the crock pot and mix it in there. I don't really like to do that because it kind of will go up the sides and it'll make it look kind of sloppy. And since we're going to serve this in the crock pot, it'll just make it look prettier. You just have one thing you can throw in the dishwasher. Okay, so we got our onions in there. Now we need 1 can of cream of chicken soup. You can also, we have a homemade recipe on eatingonadime.com as well. If you would prefer to use a homemade recipe, it's very easy to make. And also, if you're needing this gluten-free, we have a gluten-free recipe as well. To make this gluten-free, all you gotta do is swap out the cream of chicken soup. And we have a homemade that's really easy to make. Then we need 1 cup of sour cream. Apparently I can't open a thing of sour cream today. Okay. Then we just need a half a teaspoon of salt and pepper. Then we just want to stir everything together and make this into a nice mixture. Okay, I'm gonna move this out of the way. We just need to shred some cheese. Now, you can buy the pre-shredded cheese, but if you've been watching me for a while, you know I'm not a fan. I love shredding your own cheese. It just will melt so much better. The pre-shredded cheese has a coating on it, and it's preventing it from melting, and that's when you get that stringy yuckiness. If you just take a few minutes to shred their cheese by hand, it just makes a world difference in any of your casseroles. But honestly now, like, we don't ever buy the pre-shredded much anymore because it just takes a few minutes and it tastes so much better. So we're gonna need about a cup. So what I do is I just shred it and then measure about a cup. And if you don't use all the cheese that you've shredded, it stores great in like a baggie or a container in your fridge. So if you want that savings right when that cheese comes home, just shred it all and put it in a container, and you have your own shredded cheese for your recipes. So just food for thought. I know, a little off topic. As you can tell, I'm pretty passionate about my cheese. So now we're gonna add this to the bowl, and then we're gonna add a package of hash browns. So we are using diced hash browns. You can use shredded too. We've used both and are fine either way. But if you want like a cheesy potato feel, these little diced hash browns work great because they're like potatoes instead of like the shredded. It just gives a little different consistency. Now we're just going to take these potatoes and that cheese, and we're just going to coat it in that cream cheese, not cream cheese, I apologize, cream of chicken soup and sour cream mixture that we created. We just want them nice and evenly coated, and off to the crock pot we go. All we got to do now is toss this in the crock pot. Again, if you're feeling lazy, you can do all of this in the crock pot to save you one extra dish if you would like. This bowl is kind of awkward to toss it in. And then I just want to use my spatula to kind of spread it out, kind of like you would in a casserole dish. So you get that nice even layer, because after it cooks a while, we're going to top it with more cheese for that funeral potato look. Okay, now we just got to turn it on, set it, and forget it. We're going to cook it on high for 3 to 4 hours or low for 5 to 6 hours. But about 30 minutes, 10, 15, 30 minutes before, we're going to add more cheese. So while this is cooking, I'm going to go ahead and shred this cheese. So that way I can just throw it in the fridge and keep an eye on it, or keep it cold. Because then when people are coming over, all I got to do is top this cheese real quick, and I don't have to get out and, you know, make a mess. So my kitchen will be clean. So just a little tip. So we're going to shred this real quick. Measure out a cup. Beautiful. Okay, now we just gotta let it cook, and then we'll come back and I'll show you how to finish it off. Okay, so they have been cooking for a while. What I like to do, you can kind of check on them and do like a quick stir, which is what I did. But I like to give it just a quick stir before I add the cheese. And that will kind of prevent it from, you want the edges to get kind of crispy, and that's fine, but that way they don't get burnt if you kind of move them in. And then I kind of push them down again with my spoon. And then we're going to top it with that cup of shredded cheese that we hand shredded earlier. Just sprinkle it right on top. And then we're just going to cover, and we're going to cook it just for another about 15 minutes until that cheese is melted through. Okay, so now you can see the cheese is all melted and yummy and ready to serve. All that's left is to serve it up and to eat. Now make sure that you turn your slow cooker to warm. That way your potatoes don't overcook and they stay nice and warm so you can enjoy them. Ooh, they are hot. You can see the steam coming off of them. Now all we got to do now is eat it. It smells really good. This is like one of my favorite recipes. Oh, I love me some potatoes. Okay, make sure you grab the full recipe linked in the description below. And don't forget to like and subscribe. We love hanging out with you, and I hope that we've inspired you to make something simple and easy every single time. Gotta blow on a little bit more. It's too hot. Okay, friends, I will see you next time. Let's dig in. Oh my gosh. I have to have more. They weren't too hot. I'll see you next time. Bye, friends.